25th meeting of planning,
In progress.
March 25th meeting of the planning board. Call the roll, please.
Chairman Mayhood,
Here.
Mr. Craig,
Here.
Ms. Nestro,
Here.
Mr. Groot, Mr. Ruthie, Mr. Miller,
Here.
Vice Chair McComsky.
Here.
Okay. And welcome Joe Miller, our CEOs on Zoom. Stand and salute the flag.
Hey, Joe.
How are you?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, Gary.
Gary Dutton just joined us. He's the agent for the subdivision we're going to be addressing later. I left on your table in front of you the spring local government workshop, Thursday, May 16th. It's going to be in Batavia, and you can sign up for it if you want. If you plan to go and you want it to be paid for ahead of time, just let Krista, the bookkeeper, know, and she will register you, so you don't even have to put the money out for registration. There's some interesting topics. Starts at 9, ends at 4. They do provide a meal there. So it's a good way to get all 4 hours, or actually get a couple of extra and carry them over if you want. So that's open to any of us. And they will also, the town will pay mileage from here to the Batavia and back for those sessions. So if you're interested, you can sign up on those. It's an online registration, and somewhere in here, if you go to the website, you can link there and sign up for it. I just printed everything so you would know what it looked like.
No, Ted, there was also a change where training can be carried over. Is that correct?
Yes, we decided to start it this year. Previous supervisor had changed the rules so that you could only get 4 hours worth of training credit regardless in one calendar year, regardless of how many hours you accrue. They've changed that now so that you can carry over hours. If you go to a 6-hour session, 4 hours will go to this year and carry over to the following year. And I'm not sure how that's going to work, if you have to use it that year, but I think you can carry it over from 1 year according to the supervisor. So
Think you could carry over any from 23?
no, it's starting in 24. We tried to talk him into saying, let's make it a little retroactive. So yes, you can carry it over. And just for your reminder, Dwight just reminded me, the New York Planning Federation has these learn at lunch presentations. They're an hour and 20 minutes, some of them. And some of them are really interesting. And the thing is, you can go into the nypf.org, their website. You can get a list of all of the presentations that they've had, not just this year, but going back a couple of years. And if any of them sound interesting, you can send them an email and they'll send you a link to those, even those old ones. And when you complete it, they'll send you a certificate of completion. And nypf.org, New York Planning Federation. And Dwight just took this one. It's basic planning, zoning, and land use 101. And he said it was really helpful. So Dwight's been on the board a couple of years here, and he's still found it's very helpful. And this one was a live one that you.
Yes.
So that's available also for training purposes. On the agenda, we have a public hearing. We're going to actually open that public hearing during the beginning of our review process. That brings us to the privilege of the floor. Is there anything that anyone would like to bring up to the board that's not on the agenda? Okay, I'll just mention next month we're going to have at least 2 applications. There'll be 1 site plan and 1 subdivision, possibly another one. So people are beginning to think about doing things this spring. Guy called me on Thursday I got a site plan. Can I get on your agenda for Monday? I said, no. But he'll be coming the following week. But I am meeting with both applicants this Thursday night between 5 and 7 here in the town hall. If anyone has any interest in joining, you get opportunity to see firsthand what the applications are, kind of how we go through that. It's called, in the code, it's called a sketch plan conference. It's informal, get together, look over the plan. If they're, see how they compare with the regulations, and so that they have a chance to modify the applications if necessary. So this Thursday, 5:30, and then another one at 5:30 till 6:15, and then 6:15 till 7 I've scheduled. So however that works out, but there'll be a couple people here if anyone's interested in joining me. Okay, that moves us to approval of the minutes of the February 26th meeting. Holly included those. Any corrections? They looked good to me, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the February meeting.
So moved.
Dwight, okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Paul. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Thank you. That moves us into reports. General reports, town board meeting. I did not go. I had my mother-in-law in the emergency room that day. My mother-in-law is 103.
Oh, my God.
Still living at home. She has AIDS around the clock, but she had a little issue over that weekend, so I was in there, so.
Wow.
So anyway, all I know is they did have a variance request for a septic system somewhere on County Road 37. And as usual, they just approved those because remember, town code, our town code is much stricter than the state code. And so most people who are putting new septic systems in don't meet our town code. So, but they do meet the state code. Town code, I believe, is 75 feet from a road or a structure. And or a lot line. And might be 80, and the state is much less. I think it's 10 or 15, something like that. So there's a big discrepancy there. And I've mentioned that to our supervisor, why don't we bring our code into line? If they're always giving variances, I don't recall them ever denying one. So, it would make it simpler for everyone if we revise our code. And I can't remember the guy that does all the septics.
Yeah, usually it's an engineer that's doing them.
Yeah, there's an engineer out in Naples. Yeah, Bill Grove. He does almost all of them. He's an excellent engineer, does a great job. And all of the septic location variances that I've seen come before the town board or Board of Health here have been approved. So they did that one. Other than that, I don't know what else went on at the meeting, so. And I didn't get any minutes yet. They don't give us minutes until next week or so. I don't know that there's anything significant. I did hear that there had been somebody had dumped some construction debris somewhere down on Cratsley Hill Road, a couple of big truckloads apparently. And they were looking for who it was. I heard different stories. I don't know if they've
All been
located.
cleaned up though.
Has it been cleaned up? I haven't been down there, but so
The
they
highway
were-
department cleaned it up and they're working with the DEC on enforcement.
okay. I'd heard they pulled into somebody, Tony Messina's farm down there, and he asked Tony, and Tony said, no, you can't do it here. But he couldn't get, there was no license plate on the vehicle, so Tony couldn't get a license plate number. So I did hear that. I don't know if that was addressed at the town board meeting or not, so. Oh, so County Planning Board, Steve Grote, any?
Turn on your microphone, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, we had our meeting March 13th, attended that. All I have is two items out, just an FYI, and they have to do with this our green energy. In the town of Victor, they're installing 6 EV charging stations and 1 L2 charging stations, station, singular, and 6 future charging stations. This is at the corner of High Point Drive and Cobblestone Court Plaza. What's an L2? Birch.
Level 2. That's the higher speed. It's a DC fast charger. Level 1 would be what you do at your home.
Oh,
Level 2, I believe, is the fast charger.
oh, okay. Okay.
Who's doing it?
It says here Cameron Frew.
What is it, Steve?
Hmm?
I didn't hear you.
Cameron Frew, Freu.
So they don't have a company.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, so, yeah. And then another one in the town of Victor. This is a solar energy farm. This is on Main Street Fishers as you're coming from 96. You go through the little hamlet of Fishers where the post office is and the fire department and continue towards Mendon. It's right borders of Mendon property. Actually, it kind of borders it. Gallisano's got a big property there. And this is a 35 acre parcel right adjacent to Monroe County. And it's a 4.428 megawatt facility. And like I said, and of that 35 acre site, what will be disturbed will be 23 acres. There will be 11,232 panels. Well, so it's quite a big project. And it says here, it will be connected to the New York State grid. Because it's a very rural area, not many houses there, very few just along Main Street. That's all I have.
okay, thanks. Any
So,
questions?
and those, generally, when they border another county, adjacent county, they let that county know also in the town. Kind of as an FYI.
All right, thanks. Any questions for Steve? Thank you.
And it's all, I should have known, it's all vacant land, forested, meadow.
Flat.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not from the road, from Main Street Fishers. It's up and so the site view, okay, as you're driving Main Street, you really won't see it because the property goes up there as you're driving towards Mendon, right through Fishers there. And the property goes up and it plateaus on top, so it's not like many of the others that we see, you drive by and it's all level with your sight line. This will be up and above and you won't notice it from ground level.
Okay,
I don't know what it looks like on the other side. If there would be, a site disturbance, don't know. But from the roadway, there will not.
thank you. Zoning board, I know the zoning board met and they had at least 2 variance requests that were approved. There may have been a third one, I'm not sure. One of them was a subdivision approval and we'll be looking at that at our next meeting in April. I have a draft plan here and he's one of the folks that are coming in Thursday night to tell us. It's interesting. He's basically a developer, bought 2 adjoining properties. I think one of them was non-conforming. But the property line, they were 2 adjacent properties by the same owner. And there's a house on one of them that goes over the property line to the next property. This fellow is planning to purchase them, renovate the buildings and then flip them over for sale. So it's pretty straightforward, except it's creating a couple of non-conforming lots, so we'll be looking at that at our next meeting.
The other question that came up was septic and water supply.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't talked to them at all of it. Well, talked to them briefly, but we'll get all of that nailed down when we talk to him. I think Joe was there, so it's what Joe's talked about before with me, so we'll do that. Code enforcement, Joe submitted his report to us for the month. Got any questions? Joe's with us. Looks good. It looks like you're doing good on the short-term rental permits.
Yeah, it's working. The cards we sent out, I think it was 3 weeks ago now, have been working pretty well. We've had probably 4 come in saying they didn't know that they needed a
Okay.
short-term rental.
Good. Well, that was the purpose, right, of sending that postcard out. To
Yeah.
let people know or remind them that it was required in the town. Okay, thank you. Comprehensive plan, Caitlin, you got anything for us?
Yeah, so we met on March 14th. We reviewed, mostly the survey questions, just getting those, updated, identifying ones that were no longer relevant. So we are moving forward with that. We're at a little bit of a standstill. There is some discussion about the town transitioning from a .org to a .gov. So that would be a change to the website address as well as all of the email addresses. So until that is settled, we really can't start like taking out ads or printing postcards or anything if the website is going to be changing. We also can't start setting up the email and survey platform until we have the email address squared away. So we'll just continue to kind of work on some of the language for the ads and reviewing the survey, getting that ready to go. So that once that is settled, we can go ahead and move forward with next steps. A huge thank you to Mark Malmandier. He has gotten the website really well organized for us. So we have a really nice comprehensive planning section that has agendas and meeting minutes and video recordings
Okay,
of previous meetings if anyone's interested.
okay, good.
And our next meeting will be April. Ahead of time. Let's say that. April 11th, yep. At 6 o'clock.
All right. Are you going to use the same survey company that was used last time around? It was Survey Monkey, I think.
I'm gonna use MailChimp for the same platform and start utilizing for townwide communications is gonna be able to host a survey functionality in there as well.
Okay,
Once we get the .org.gov straightened out, I will get the MailChimp set up. Just make sure that that survey functionality is gonna meet all of our needs, just that we can get the data out in a way that we're gonna be able to use it. If for some reason it doesn't seem like we're gonna be able to get the survey results in a usable form, we may have to look at surveying.
okay. Any questions for Caitlin? Good, thank you very much. Okay, old business, we don't have any old business that's active. We are still waiting for a final survey map from Mr. Cicchetti up on Canadice Hill Road. He was here a couple of months ago, maybe 3 months ago now. Although there's no timeline for that. He's allowed to do it at whenever. It's not gonna, his approval will not expire. Okay. Other than that, everything is caught up in terms of what we've been dealing with in the past. So we move to new business. We have a application Get out my sheet here. We have an application that's been prepared by Gary Dutton, who's the agent for Quality Lawn Care. So what we need to do here is we did advertised a public hearing. So we need to open the public hearing by motion.
Make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Thank you, Birch. Is there a second?
I second.
Dwight, all in favor? Okay, thanks. Now we can open the preliminary review by motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
Caroline, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. So now you have in your packet the application, and you probably all know Gary by now. He's been here several times. Basically, Quality Lawn Care, who's owned, Steve Krieger owns it. It's over on 15A where the coal shop is. Okay, Steve owns some of that property and see if I included the map. And there's a small property that's right on 15A. And basically, they want to increase the size of that property. I've included the small map. I do have the big map, but I forgot to bring it in, but if you're interested, but if you look at the map, the little one on the left is owned by Steve, Quality Lawn Care. It's kind of a funny setup with that little lot in the middle, but
Yeah, so
anyway,
what is
I don't recall how we ever made that happen, but anyway, pardon?
One in the middle there,
Yeah,
he owns that also.
right, he owns it, but it's a separate tax map number, so. But that one's not being divided, the small portion in the upper corner, and you can see they've just added some footage around the existing property. According to Gary in the application, there's nothing on the land that's being subdivided away. And it will be joined to the existing property. And what's left is still conforming. Doesn't affect the remaining property in any way, other than loses a couple of acres. So that's the proposal. Is there anything you want to add, Gary?
Basically, there's, we pointed out, we call it the house lot.
Yes.
Did that beautiful renovation over time.
Yep.
They're the folks, very nice folks purchasing from Mr. Krieger that odd shaped affair. So basically, in essence, we're taking a 3-acre parcel, which is, screwed with that home, adding the 1.3, we call it.
Yes.
Ending up with a 4.3-acre parcel. And I purposely noted the proximity of the lines to what I think is commonly known as a hog barn, just to demonstrate that we're in all cases that 20 feet. And then secondly, importance I'm sure to you is just the fact that remaining frontage on Mr. Krieger's land still is in excess of 600 feet. So by taking that 46 foot of additional frontage on 15A, it's not compromising his in any significant way. You're still well north of 600 feet. So,
Yeah.
it's the real intent, if it's relevance, he's the folks living in a farm home that they wanted to extend back, just having some more depth for gardens and things of that nature. But the land is basically bush hog.
Yeah. Okay.
They basically use it now. It's just they want to formally.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I put a measurement on the small map about 642 feet also that I distributed to them just to show that
Yeah,
the remaining frontage of the property.
I think the measured distance, not that it really, it's like 631. So for all that.
Well, I measured it off Encore. I'm not too good at that, but at least it's greater than 250 feet is
Yeah.
all we care about.
Right. So pretty obviously pretty.
Yeah,
Does, on the map, we have it says FR shed, is that former shed or?
No frame shed, and that is kind of a dilapidated, and he's gonna take that shed down.
Okay.
But when I did the work, which was a few months ago, that shed was still there. But, if you want to note to that effect, obviously, but that shed will, and doesn't amount to
Well-
much of anything. But it is there, and you do see it, but
That's the one that's
which I don't
on the-
mention,
that's the one that's on the property that's being added.
yes.
So it's
Yeah,
this
right.
little one, that's gonna disappear. This little frame shed here, it's gonna be
If you
torn.
were to look at the property, the bigger frame shed to the north, it's nice and it's all where he puts all the stuff. The other one is just it's just been there forever and it's full of.
Yeah, I noticed that you didn't put a measurement there between that and the new lot line.
Right.
That's because it's gonna be demolished.
Just waiting for a little bigger windstorm.
On the application, something you have signature on?
Pardon? Oh, he sent me a
Okay.
new one and it's got a
Yeah.
scratch. It's got a scratched, he signed it on the actual application. When I made the copies, I didn't have this, so that's Steve Krieger did sign it. And this is the original, if anybody wants to see it.
Are there utilities in either of the frame pavilion or the frame building on the
No.
existing?
Excuse me, the frame pavilion and the frame building, I certainly believe that there is in both. I know for certain the frame building, the frame pavilion, it looks like on the south end, he's got some shop space, so I have assumption that there is, and I can tell you that at least I'm quite confident that the utilities come from his main facilities to the south going north to them. But I can confirm that. I'm speculating, but I'm quite confident it has nothing to do with the frontage that we're involved with here coming west of the pavilion. It comes from the south going north because that pavilion was one of the later structures. But that's certainly a logical and smart question. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely on the final survey, we'll need to see the driveway, water,
Now, when you say
electric.
driveway,
Well-
what driveway?
Is there any driveway going to these frame pavilion and
Not
frame
really.
building?
Oh, no, those driveways come from the south, from his coal
Yeah.
shop
Here's
and
the
end up.
It's actually a private
got-
road.
business over here. and it's
Okay.
private road,
Yeah, it's a
so
private road.
That's all connected and not part of the.
Okay, so it's nowhere near this
No.
lot line that we're moving.
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's the-
And I don't think these utilities are either, but I
Okay.
will know how. Or I can.
Does the property across the street, Gary, they used to belong to Bruce, the old restaurant, is that still, is that,
It's not part of the Krieger, if that's your question. It's
but
not
I mean,
part
does Steve own that? No,
of the east side of 15.
Yeah, he let, okay, because that used to be
Or Truarts.
Bruce's and on both sides.
That's
Okay, I just
Thirty.
curious.
Who used to own.
Yeah.
this, That's been separated, so the east side. of
Yeah.
15
Oh,
has
okay.
Nothing to do with.
Yeah,
this.
no, I knew it didn't have any, I just wonder if he's still, if they, yeah, they both sides. Okay, thanks, Gary.
Do we need anything acknowledging these people that own the house are purchasing the property here? I mean, I see their name not mentioned anywhere.
Uh,
I'm assuming
is
they
supposed,
know about it.
I can certainly, I guess I'm not sure of the relevance, if we're hoping to create a lot that's bigger regardless of ownership. Your point is you want to be certain that these folks are really going to purchase this?
Well, I guess, yeah.
well, we want to be sure it's going to be annexed to their existing property. That's,
I mean,
I think that's what you're getting.
That's my question is, and I didn't see it anywhere in the application,
Well,
that there's no place for it, but kind of like.
Yeah, there is supposed to be a name of an ownership, right, on both plots. That was one thing I was gonna mention. I didn't see any names on here, Gary.
well, I've got the north adjoiner of Donald Parker.
Oh, where are you reading?
North of the folks that are annexing the piece. See that up to the top, Donald Parker, he's the north adjoiner to the farmhouse.
Where is it? Oh. Oh, I didn't cut that off on I didn't
Yeah.
copy that on the map.
But
Let me
that's
get,
fine. I can certainly approach it
Well-
to parcel A.
I mean, just,
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
I perfectly understand what.
and I think,
And
yeah,
As far
sure.
as them pursuing and purchasing the strip, I mean, I could, obviously, if you want a letter to that effect, I can request it. I'm very
typic-
confident, they're very anxious to make it happen, but.
Typically, you just have something on there that says lands of and the name of the owner.
Wouldn't the tax map number?
Next to
cover
parcel
that?
A.
Well,
yeah, next to parcel A.
Yep, that's fine, and then parcel B, which is gonna be
Yeah.
ultimately owned by the owner
Yeah.
of parcel A, you're all right with the fact that I just put their names next to parcel A?
Yeah.
Okay. It's fine.
okay, so that's,
I wouldn't want it to be a
Hmm?
surprise, what is their name?
what is their name?
You would, no, I do know, I just have a blank, it starts with an S,
Well,
like, I wanna say Sharon, I've got it here, but
okay,
SHA, something to that effect. Bear with me.
Yeah, they did a lot of work on that last year, wasn't it?
the house,
Yeah.
Boy, you certainly did. And
Looks-
again, I'm wrong, once again, Terry Sawyer,
Terry,
Sawyer. His street address or there's.
okay, so he's the current landowner.
5520 is the street number, that's.
Yeah, I think the tax map number is okay on that. Cause that does identify, you're right, Paul, it does identify.
It really
But
doesn't matter who owns it, as long as those two tax maps are gonna get annexed. Which it says in the short form here.
Right,
Yeah, that was kind of my mindset, but regardless, I'm happy.
so that's really the only thing we need added, right? We figured the power lines don't need to be shown
Right.
because that's existing, not affected by this.
We don't want any utilities shown just to verify they're with more than 20 feet from the lot lines,
The utilities,
like the electric. and-
poles,
Well, wherever the line, I understand they come from the south, like. Don't we usually want those included or no? Cause they're outside of this little Z
I-
shaped piece.
They're
I think we
outside
wanna
of what-
see them if it's within
Okay,
typically. But, you know, this is an existing property that we're not affecting, so I don't know, I don't think we need it.
Okay.
So maybe an annotation about the frame building to be demolished. I think that would be helpful. Since there's no side dimension on it to the lot line.
Certainly add those also.
So we need the frame building. Just a note to be demolished or something.
A question, just my own
Yes.
learning.
Sure.
So you mentioned that it's gonna be annexed. Does that mean that one tax parcel number goes away and it becomes just one? Okay.
Doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't, because what's left on this map still retains that. See,
Oh,
there is no, this little portion that's being divided away is not an existing lot, so it's not a tax map itself. What it is this large, a portion of the large lot, which retains its own tax map number, and there's no change to that.
which would be different if this weird island piece here,
Yeah.
if that were getting adjoined
Yes.
to this larger piece,
Mhm.
it would go, the smaller piece would lose its tax number and it would become part of the larger one.
Yep.
But this piece is just shifting from one tax number to another.
Thanks.
So I have two things that we want to see on the map. Property owner name on parcel A.
Little explanation
Oh.
of that. This piece that's being taken and added to the smaller piece.
Yes,
That can't retain the tax map number of the parent piece. of
No.
land.
No, it's shifting to the other one.
Right.
yeah,
So
because
gonna
it's,
be annexed together.
Yeah. So
There'll
it's
be one tax map number because that lot's gonna change in size.
correct.
correct.
So what we're saying is that what's left retains its tax map number.
Oh, sure.
There's not a new tax map number being
Right,
generated.
I'm talking about the piece that's being.
No,
added.
that will
Parcel
not,
B and parcel A
Yeah,
will all become parcel A.
right,
correct.
exactly.
But parcel B right now has the tax number.
Right,
So
until
that
that
was
makes sense.
Carolyn's
Yep.
question.
And if you,
But it's not a separate lot today,
Yeah,
so it
it's
doesn't have a name. It
Going
doesn't have a
from one
number.
tax number to the other.
so if it was combined, which is a re-subdivision, then it would go away.
Right, right. If it's combining two tax map numbers into one. Yes, we would have to review it. Brief, it's a pretty brief review for a re-subdivision. Okay, good discussion. Any other questions? So it's really pretty straightforward, so we understand what's going on. Anything else to share with us, Gary?
What's your preferred vote of the, like, I'll obviously do these amendments, can I bring to your office?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
How many prints and a Mylar?
yeah, once,
How many
once we get
prints?
through we'll need 3 paper copies and 1 Mylar. The town retains one in the file, and the 2 paper and 1 Mylar go to county.
Which I'll pick up when they're signed. and then
Yeah.
I'll be
What,
responsible.
what we'll do at the end of this whole review, I suspect, is we'll give it a preliminary condition approval based upon you providing those maps. And you don't have to come back to this meeting. You just have to contact me and we set up a time so I can stamp them and sign them.
And are you okay with me dropping off during the business day?
Yeah.
Would I leave?
Sure.
Good, sure, thank you.
And then I'll call you when they're ready to be picked up.
Perfect.
Okay, so anything else on the review of the application? Any details that we've overlooked? I guess at this point then, I'd ask to grant a motion to grant preliminary approval.
I'll make a
You wanna
motion.
go through the secret?
That's coming up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't jump ahead. It's coming up.
I'll make a motion, we grant preliminary approval.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Dwight, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. So at this point, we're going to go through the environmental quality review form, the so-called seeker. Look at the seeker, describe the project, subdivision of lands, quality lawn care. And he's got the tax map numbers. And the description is to annex 1.282 acres from one parcel to the other. He's the sponsor of this, Gary Dutton, so he could sign this. And gone through part A or part 1, those questions. Does anyone have any questions about questions 1 through 20?
I just got one minor. Nobody else does.
Nobody else does? What have you got, Steve?
We just gotta check a box on the 5B,
Oh, we missed something?
you know,
Which number? 5B?
5B,
Consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan.
check the X box.
Okay. Do you have your copy of the seeker?
No,
Okay, what I'll do is I'll have you come up and initial that. It's just a box of overlooked, okay? It is, the question is the proposed action consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan? No, yes, and this is certainly something that's approved and it's consistent with our, it's making a smaller property a little bigger, so we like to have bigger properties. So that'll be a yes. Any other questions about those questions? No. All right, given that, we'll move to part 2. This is to be completed by the agency based on the answers to questions 1 through 20. We have to check, are these have an impact or no impact? So somebody want to read those 20 or 11?
I'll read them.
Oh, okay, thanks, Birch.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use of it or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy if it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy, conservation, renewable energy opportunity? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, e.g. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No.
Okay, thank you, Birch. So the answer to all of those questions, the next part 3, we have to, by motion, determine if this action, that is the subdivision, will this have a positive, will it have an environmental effect, a negative environmental effect or not? So by motion, we have to, based on all of the no's in the previous section, we need to have a motion that this action will result
make a
in no
motion.
negative environmental effect.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
second.
All right, Dwight, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that says there's no problem from the environment. That takes care of the seeker. At this point, we need to close the public hearing. No one came for public hearing, so no action. Have a motion to close the public hearing.
I so moved.
Dwight, thank you. Second,
I'll second.
Caroline, so all in favor?
All right.
Thank you. So that's all of that. Given that we only came up with a couple of minor changes to the map, nothing else has to be done. What we could typically do here is grant final approval of this subdivision on the condition that the final survey maps are provided with the specified improvements. So, and giving me the authority to then sign off on those. So somebody like to make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Final approval.
Okay, Dwight, Steve, second.
That's fine.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye, okay. All right, Gary, so we're all set. So get the maps to me with those small changes. Drop them off if you will, or bring them down on a Thursday night, whichever is convenient for you, and we'll get them taken. I do. One thing on the seeker. No, pencils are not all right. He always submits applications to me in pencil and I tell him every time, pencil, just check. No.
I think we go with thick headed. So what?
Well, we're saying is this consistent, so it's, all right, that's good enough. Thanks, Gary.
Everybody.
And
Thanks,
you're
Gary.
welcome to stay or
Bye-bye.
not.
What happens?
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Invariably, he submits applications. I don't know how many he's done. They're always in pencil and I send them back, so you gotta have them in ink. One time you just got a tray store in my. So that takes care of this application. And that brings us to the end of our meeting, privilege of the floor. Anything anyone wants to bring up?
I have a couple of things.
Oh, yes.
Steve, has there been any talk at the county? Last year, they hosted that training, that in-person training we both went to. It was like 3 hours. They did 2 sessions.
Oh, yeah. I remember that was over at the training
Yeah,
facility.
any discussion if they're gonna do
No.
it this year?
No, in fact, Linda, she identifies every month on our agenda, upcoming training. And it's all these, little online things.
Okay,
Yeah, but she made no mention.
just
I
curious.
wish they would have something like
Yeah,
that.
that's a nice
And you know what?
opportunity to
I'll
knock out a
ask
couple
her-
hours.
I'll ask her next month if they've got anything planned for the year.
Okay.
I will all that.
I have another upcoming presentation, if anybody's interested, on April 18th at 6 o'clock at the Naples Library. I'll be giving the same presentation. And then I also wanted to make a note, the Ontario County Special Collection Events Calendar came out a couple weeks ago. Registration open today for household hazardous waste, mattress recycling, and confidential paper shredding. Paper shredding may be full. If you're interested in that event, I would get on as soon as this meeting is over and see if there's still any slots available for the April event. We'll have another one in mid-May and then 2 more later in the year.
Remind us what you,
One question.
go ahead.
Also, waste.
Yeah.
Is paint not included anymore?
You can bring paint to
Oh, you
those
can.
events.
Okay.
You do not need to wait for an event. You can take them to Sherwin-Williams.
Well, they say a 5-gallon limit.
It depends.
It's a long way to travel.
I think Hadlocks takes up to 10. And you can, my understanding is you can give Sherwin-Williams a call, and if they just had a pickup and they're pretty empty, they might be a little bit more lenient, but if they're real close. You can try, I'm not sure how far. it'll get.
Okay.
But you can bring, paint to the AJ Show's events.
Birch probably won't attend unless he gets a winning raffle ticket.
Well, that's another question.
There will be,
Last time he won up.
there
I
will
forget what he
be,
won.
there
He
will
did
be
something
another
down at
raffle
the
in the
Mueller
backyard
station.
composting
I
thing.
think we did last year. Birch, what'd you win? A little compost thing? Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
our
Oh,
backyard
man, he was
composting
happy. He
Sale
was happy.
is going to be,
I'm gonna ask.
It was like a little
Remind-
bit of Christmas.
Remind us all what the presentation was,
sure, it's,
please.
it talks a little bit about the Department of Sustainability and Solid Waste Management, the role we play at the county. Then we go through recycling, what is and isn't recyclable, in a lot of detail. And then we also, or I also talk about sort of hard to manage materials, or we call it special collection items, things like tires, electronics, household hazardous waste, mattresses, all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
This is April 18th at the Naples Library.
Correct, at 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. Okay.
They do that in the basement?
The Naples.
Yes.
I got it, going to Mueller.
That's the last time.
Yes, so last time I was at the library, this upcoming one is going to be at the Naples Library, and then there's gonna be one in late April or early May, and that's gonna be at the Cheshire Fire Hall. So I'll update you at the
okay.
next meeting about that. And then if anybody's interested in the special collection events I was talking about,
Yeah,
and you're not on our email list, just shoot me an email, and I can get you set up with that and more information
And
about
what's
that.
the date of the special collection event?
So we've got 3 coming up. The household hazardous waste is gonna be on April 20th. Mattress recycling is gonna be on April 13th. And paper shredding is gonna be on April 12th. Again, if the registration isn't full for that, it is very, very, very close.
Do you do anything on electronics?
Yes.
TVs? What date
We
is
have one, May 18th and then one in October.
May 18th, where would that be?
The May 18th one is going to be at the town of Farmington, I believe.
Farmington?
Yes. And registration is required for that.
Yeah,
So just shoot me an email, Dwight,
Okay.
and I can get you set up on our email
be great.
list, and then you'll get an email with, the registration. You guys can also just give me a call and I can get you registered over the phone.
thank you.
also drop off electronics and something.
Over in
that-
Then Victor.
That's old
Victor.
school, yes, it's called E-Waste Plus now.
Yeah.
yeah, e-waste, yeah.
And they do take televisions for free now. There was a change in the New York State legislation. So if you're in Victor, you can take it to that
Yeah,
event.
I think they take
Or,
everything's for free now over there. isn't it?
Pretty
I think so.
much. There's a certain, like, it would be non-typical that they might charge for, but,
Okay,
they take all
Thank-
televisions.
Computers.
thank you.
And any computers, yeah, anytime they're open.
How about batteries?
What type of batteries?
Just regular little double A's, you know.
They do take those, there is a charge, we take them at the electronic waste recycling events at no charge. All, at the, recycling events that the county hosts, all of those are always free. And so we'll take those at the electronic waste event.
Anything, Joe, for us from your standpoint? Question? Okay,
I had 2 things.
Nope.
all right. Thank you, Joe. Steve,
I just wondered, did anyone, I remember last year we had that, application with the Sullivans. Anyone here that Karen Sullivan passed away?
Oh,
no, I did not.
Yeah, last week.
Oh, my.
What happened with that property? County Road 37.
Mr. Sullivan went out to the DMV and got farming license plates for it to be able to use to place on all the vehicles. So he got agricultural license plates from the DMV to be able to place on the vehicles. I don't know how he proved it to the DMB that they were used for farming. But that was taken care of.
The stretch. He still owns that property, although they don't live there. They live on Tibbles
I'm
Road
not
now.
sure about that.
Yeah, he told me they live on Tibbles Road.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know about the property, okay, but in any event, the application. Is expired,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
We went through a preliminary approval. And the whole legal thing came up and they never came back to continue that review, so it's dead.
I
That's
just
it.
raised it as an FYI. And then I just want to tell you, if you heard any discussion on any interest in the county position?
Haven't heard, and I forgot to ask
Okay.
Supervisor
I was just curious.
Stola. Nobody stepped forward for that. Thank you. Anything else? Don't forget the eclipse will be before our next meeting.
Yeah.
You don't have any more glasses, do you? You just don't see it.
There's some up,
They're
Eileen?
out.
Yeah, they're gone.
I think she has more.
Okay, I'll have to stop.
The library had a whole big
Oh, they
pile
did?
of them down at the
Oh, okay.
library inside the front door. Amazon, you can buy them. you know, they're Pretty cheap.
I'll get ready when I go home. I'll log on. Order.
You can buy some down at
Just don't look at the-
7-Eleven. Yeah,
7-Eleven for sale?
you know, $3.
Oh.
I'd check with Eileen first.
Yeah, I would too.
By the candy.
That's what I thought, but
Yeah.
they said it was empty.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
didn't see them.
Check with her.
I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I'll check with her.
She was putting them out.
I just wonder if you still had, but I forgot to ask you last month, but no big deal.
Okay. Anything else? All right,
Motion to adjourn?
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, everyone.
You.
Thanks, Joe. Good night.
Bye, Joe.